Well, hello, everybody, and thank you once again to Between the Lines Book Talk. And I'm Denise Guru, and Michelle Cornwell Jordan couldn't make it with us today, but I am so excited because we have someone here that's very special, and I read her book quite a while back when I was learning how to do Reiki myself. And we have Margrit Coates with us today, and she is over in Great Britain. So it's going to be across the pond chat today. So welcome. Oh, she has her pet. And yes, which reminds me, the reason we're talking today is this is another segment of our pet muses. So I just want to show you one of the books that I have. Healing for Horses, and this is one of Margaret's books. Now, she's written plenty of books after this one. So welcome, Margrit, and why don't you just tell our little listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hello, Denise. It's lovely to talk to you today. Well, I've written 6 books now. Healing for Horses was the world's first book on the topic of healing for animals, and then Hands-on Healing for Pets followed. So they were the world's first books. I found that there were only little snippets in other books about healing for animals, but no one had written a full guide. So I thought, well, I'll write one, and it was a watershed. The Healing for Horses book was a watershed for the horse industry. And that's what I do now, full-time. Animal healing and communication, and it's a wonderful, wonderful life.
Well, yes, I can just imagine, when I started learning Reiki, I guess you want to say the Reiki muse was horses. I had a little bit of a special relationship with horses, and when I was a small child, I always knew that there was something that I was needing to do, or something different that I was going to do, and so I'm glad that I was able to find your first book, because I just devoured that first book, and it was really a great guide for me from beginning to end. The whole anatomy of the horse and where all the chakras were, and so it really, really, really helped me. And I'm just interested. I read your bio, and it said that you suppressed your gifts for a long time, and I'm just kind of curious, what was going on in that period in your life? What made you not actually step into who you are right away?
Well, I did admit to what was going on when I was a child, and when I first came to being with horses, because I thought it was normal, and that's how everybody was with horses, that you understood them, you could hear their silent voices, that you laid your hands on them, it helped them to feel better, you could help them with all sorts of situations and improve the bond. I thought everybody did that. And when I started talking about it, people would, particularly in the horse world, get very aggressive with me and say, you don't know anything, you're not the expert, I'm the expert, I've done all of this training, I'm a top rider, I'm an instructor. And very quickly I thought, well, they're not like me, and they're not listening. And so I stopped talking about it. And I was, at the time, until 1996, in a business career in marketing and PR and public relations, in a male-dominated world, and it was, very competitive. And once or twice when I talked about my healing roots, because I've always been healing since I was a child, they started treating me like a stupid woman, like some woman whose brain wasn't functioning properly. So I thought, okay, well, I won't talk about that in the business world again. But then in 1996, I was able to come out of that environment, and I'd wanted to for a long time. So then I could be who I was. And it didn't matter who I spoke to then. My job didn't depend on people thinking I had a brain. And I just thought, this is who I am. I'm going to speak the truth. I wrote the books. I decided I would never be afraid to speak out as the horse's voice or the animal's voice. And because that's who I am and that's what I'm doing. So that's what changed everything.
You know, it's really interesting because that's probably, you know, I know about my abilities, and I have the same issue that you had, you know, talking to people in the States here. It's so commercial. You know, everybody's so worried about the ribbons and making the money. And they don't realize, you know, that it, I think years ago when we started in this healing with the horses, it was like, well, at first everybody thought, well, you know, we need to get this horse healed. You know, we're healing this horse. And it's so hard to tell the owners that, I hate to say it, but you're the one who's causing your horse to be sick. You know, it's...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's shocking. And I you know, I've got older and I'm not afraid to speak out. And you were talking about people and the ribbons and everything. And people are so focused on their image. Who cares? It's so irrelevant in a person's life that they've won a ribbon or won a cup or a shield, or they've won something. Actually, it's totally of no interest to the universe. It doesn't add anything to the universe. It's not a legacy. It's an ego thing. And I saw someone last weekend on a big warm blood with a martingale and a strong bit, and the horse couldn't go forward, and the horse was upset, and the person had all the latest gear on. And I stood there and I thought, you think you look good, but actually you look ugly. You've got all of the stuff, the tight pants and the hat and the jacket. But do you know what? There's nothing attractive about you. And I stopped and said to her, your horse is in pain. The horse can't go forward. You've tied the horse's head down. The horse has got a sore back. I'm seeing the most horrible picture. And actually, you know, she did pass that message on to the owner, and the owner is going to look into it. But I think what's become really obvious to me through my work is the legacy that we always own. There's only one thing we own, and that's our soul. We own nothing else. When we pass from this earth, that's all that goes with us. And so our outward appearance can be very ugly, even if we think we look good or we're very beautiful. What we take with us is whether or not we've nurtured the earth, whether or not we've caused pain to animals, to horses, whether or not we've ignored their suffering, whether or not we've listened to them. All of those things sit in our soul. And everything else, when we pass, we leave behind. But we take with us the negative as well as the positive. And it's a big wake-up call for the human species to realize that we will always be everything we've done. And I say to myself, many years ago, I said to myself, if I was to pass from this earth right now, would I be happy with that? And my understanding from the animals is when we pass, we go to be with people just like us, souls just like us. Where I am at the moment, do I want to go and be with souls like me? And a long time ago, I thought, absolutely not. I need to remember I'm a spiritual being and actually start acting like a spiritual being. And that's the most important thing. And never be afraid to listen. Never be afraid to speak the truth on behalf of the animals. And I am so not interested in whether people think I'm judgmental or not, because that's a form of bullying to stop people from speaking out on behalf of the animals. And that's going to be what I take with me.
That's great. That's, yeah. You know, and that's my issue too. it's to the point now, and I don't know if it's something wrong with me, or I don't even want to be on the back of a horse anymore. I don't feel
Yeah,
the
well,
need.
I've stopped. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't feel the need to be
I
on.
stopped some years ago. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so many people contact me and say, I just want to. I step back and I see members of the horse nation, and so many people say to me, what I see is a being that's
mm-hmm.
been taken as a slave to humans, imprisoned, made to do things, shut in stalls, shut in stables, or the pain in the mouth, the pain on the back. People make them do things, lie down, sit on their heads. What's all that about? And so when I see the horses now, I think, oh, how wonderful. A member of the horse nation who happens to be on earth with humans and has become a captive. And I have set them free from ever doing anything for me.
Right, right. Yeah, and and it's funny because I feel like I have to make up some kind of weird excuse why I don't ride, because people are like, "Oh, you don't ride your horse?" Oh, and it's like
Yeah.
you can kind of tell if they're ready to listen or not. And I need to learn a little bit more from you to stand in my own truth as the voice for the horse. And I'm learning to, speak up a little bit more, you know. But yeah, it is so true. And like you said, uh, the things that we make them do, and actually at the end of the day, we're all here to learn and grow together with all the
Yeah.
beings,
Yeah.
and the horse is given,
Yeah.
they sacrifice so much to help us.
Yeah. And what, and I say to myself, how are we growing if we're causing pain? How are we growing if we're just feeding our ego? Where's the growth in that? There is no growth. There's
Right.
only a reduction. There's a reduction. There's a depletion. There's no growth. And, obviously everybody comes to their own realization. And, when people say to me, oh, you don't ride, I just say, well, no, I don't. That I'm happy with that. And I actually don't want to discuss it. I don't need to justify my relationship with animals. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But the horse world in particular, it's not so bad with other animals, cats and dogs, but the horse world has become, it's like an infestation where people bully, and they tell people that they intimidate people. And people often say to me, oh, I felt this from my horse and I felt that, but I felt intimidated by everybody in the barn, everybody in the yard, all the instructors. And how did it get to be like this? That what we should be doing, and what I have done, is I follow the horse herd. But what the humans in the horse world en masse have done is they're following the herd of the gurus, the instructors, the trainers.
Yep.
But we should be following the horse herd. That's where I am. I'm not interested in the being a member of a group of people who listen to a guru.
Yep.
Because that person isn't a guru. The guru is the horse.
That's right. That is so right. We here in the States, we call them land dolphins. Maybe you've heard that before. And it's really interesting. And I have a question for you, and I don't want to forget it. But I just saw a post where somebody that was doing Reiki healing, they had a pasture full of horses and decided, oh, let's go out and do healing with these horses. We'll put the patient on the table and let the horses come. And now all of a sudden people are just flocking to this. So I'm wondering, when you go out and you're healing and you're with the horse people, have you noticed that people are finally starting to realize, that, actually,
Yeah.
they're here for us. I hate that, I'm sorry. They're here for us,
Yeah, I've actually noticed a shift in the past, I would say, year and a half, a big shift, where some things happen because more and more people are coming to it. More and more people are realizing what's going on. I'm getting, I mean, my email boxes are more and more full with people on that wavelength, and yet I don't know what's happened. There's nothing that I can put my finger on. It's just that globally there's been a shift, and people are understanding and realizing, and it's got to be a very, very good thing. It really has, because it's our it's why we're here, to understand that we're not the only species on this planet, and that dominating and destroying is not going to get us anywhere, because there is no end, there's no death, there's a shift in consciousness, and we will all answer at the end of the day for what we've done.
Yeah. Well, I've written 3 books to this Dragon Horse trilogy, and this last book, it's really interesting because the souls in the first 2 books, they came in as horses, and then now the last book, they're coming in is in human form, and these people have to who dealt with these horses, these characters when they were in their horse form, they have to look back and think, how did I treat that being when it was with me in the horse form? Here it is in front of me. Oh my gosh. And I think that's where the education needs to be. It's like, it's a being in a horse suit right now. There's something else beyond
that. It is, and we've all made mistakes, and I've made mistakes. I put my hand up, but there came a realization. We're humans. It comes with the territory. But the more and more and more that I'm with horses, the more I realize, as you say, that is someone in there that's trapped by that horse's body, that verbally cannot speak. If those horses suddenly overnight had a verbal language like us, we wouldn't do any of the things to them that we do and get away with as a human species. And there is someone in there, the phenomenal things and experiences I've had through being a healer and communicator with horses are mind-blowing. And we're only scratching the surface of the great mystery. And through being with the horses, listening to them, stepping away from the human ego that feels the need to dominate and be in control and run around with ribbons, once we let that go, then we start to realize the great mystery starts to be revealed, and that's where the magic is.
Yep.
And it's an amazing revelation.
Well, and that's true, because how can you have that kind of a special relationship with a horse if you're drilling it day after day, doing the same thing over and over and over again, to a being that probably didn't want to do that in the first place? And that's what I tell people. It's like, I was never in the show ring, because your relationship with that horse cannot be the same, because you're so worried about looking beautiful and great and making your horse look beautiful and round and to the
definitely, and it is, and they don't, that the realized beauty is allowing another being soul freedom. And if you're causing pain and suffering, which we are, when we tie the horse up and make the horse stand on his or her back legs, make them lie down, stand on them, sit on them, chase them round pens, put pressure halters on, it's all pain. It causes pain. What does that say about us? I mean, what does it say about us? I don't want to willingly or even unwillingly cause pain. So that's why I don't, I have ridden. I don't want to ride now because I do know people. I'm very involved with vets and veterinary physios and body workers who make sure that horses are not in pain. But I would say through my work, maybe 90% of the horses I'm called out to see are in pain of some form. They've never evolved to carry people.
Right.
To have a bit in the mouth is the action of the bit is to cause pain. That's a simple bottom line.
Yeah.
And so many saddles don't fit. Often feet are not functioning properly. And the horse isn't a robot. The horse is a living, feeling animal, and not all of them want to be ridden, and not all of them are suitable for riding. And then the natural paces of horses are overused. Naturally, they would walk very slowly with their head down for maybe 16, 20 hours a day. They rarely jump in the wild. They rarely gallop. They rarely canter. They rarely trot. They only do those things occasionally. So to take the horse and use those as a competitive or pleasure gait overuses the natural way of being and causes massive problems.
Yep.
And I find it very ugly to watch, very, very ugly to watch. I find competitions ugly to watch.
Yep. Yep. Well, when I used to live in northern Wisconsin, and when we moved into Colorado, big rodeo state, and I know the rodeo people are going to hate me for this, but I took my daughters to the first rodeo, and we were just appalled because the cowboys, all they wanted to do was rip the face off of their horses to show off for the cowgirls in the stands. And my daughters were they were so upset. And that was the first and the last rodeo I ever went to. And, so do you have a horse, or is there a horse that stands out the most that you've had to help? Or is there, I know you have many stories, but is there something that...
I mean, there are so many, and they're ongoing for me. Each week a new horse will come into my life, and I think, wow, that's phenomenal, and then there'll be another one. I think, there are so many, but if I just talk a bit about Tetua, who's a Lusitano, and belongs to a healer friend of mine. I had breast cancer 12 years ago, and I thought, okay, it's time for me to step back while I go into my own healing time. And I felt that I just needed to go and stand with a horse and be with a horse and breathe that horse in. And I went to visit my friend, and he's got this Lusitano. It was the stallion when he got him, and he's not now. He stopped being stallion when he was 4. And I've known Tetua since he came to the UK from Portugal. And I went to visit my friend and stood next to Tetua. And suddenly I realised that he knew I was unwell. And he leant forward and put his head round me and pulled me into his chest. And then he stood with his head all the way down my chest and closed his eyes. And I felt myself completely sucked into his body. I hadn't asked him for anything, but I felt it happen. And I thought, this horse knows, he's looked at me, he knows what's going on, and he wants to help me. And I just felt myself drift away completely. And then I heard him say, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay."
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's up on my screen if you want to ask me some other thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
because it'll be a good way.
Okay. Well,
because then I can complete the piece with this fantastic message from Duchesne. Because honestly, it's out of this world.
Okay.
So I'll be fine. Yeah, good.
Okay. All right. Well, what you're saying, with your healing with the horses, it's like you get what you give, and a horse projects.
Absolutely.
A horse
Yeah.
projects back to you how you perceive them. So if you
Yes.
think they're just a horse and you treat them poorly, you're not going to get anything else back. And so
No.
if the horse, with my interactions with healings, yeah, they have healed me. I thought I healed them, but they have healed me. But I think what it is after they've been abused for so long and they come up across a person that understands them, they open up, they let their true self out, they reveal their true self to you.
And they also recognize somebody who's listening, because that's the first thing I say to all horses that I meet. I can hear you. I'm listening to you. This isn't about me. I want to hear your story. I want to be a witness to your story. That's the important thing. And they hear that.
Yeah.
They absolutely hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the phenomenal thing. Yeah. That is really, the very, very special thing.
Right.
Do
you have?
And that's what they're looking for. And that's what hurts them so much, is so few people are listening. So I found this message now.
Okay.
I'm just writing a new book. And this is what she said to me.
Okay.
Measure your life less. Listen more. Give love to all creatures equally. Take something from me. Leave something with me in equal measure, because I am you and you are me.
That's beautiful. It is so true. It is so true. Yes. It reminds me of my first Reiki patient, and what we went through and what he taught me. I mean, people would come and see him and go, that's not just a horse. There's something else going on there. And it's because he realized that, like you just said, I was listening to him. I really wanted to hear him. And I didn't want to project any of myself onto him. I wanted to know his story. I wanted to know what I could do to help him. And in turn, it helped me. It's just like anything. You give $5 to the bum on the street. Maybe the bum really went to get a bottle of booze, but it made you feel better. And so when you feel better, you spread that around more, So, yeah.
It's about giving, and giving from the heart and the soul, not taking.
Right.
So it's I think that's the important thing.
Right.
And isn't that what animals do? They are always ready to love unconditionally, without the agenda, without the ego, without just because they can.
Right.
And that's very hard for humans to do. Very, very hard for humans to do. But through being with animals, through being with horses, they have shown me how to give unconditional love and how to feel it unconditionally, just to be there, be in that moment and feel love because I can and because I want to. And that's a phenomenal place to be in that space is heaven for me.
Yes, yes, yes. I would rather be, well, sometimes I say people are my least favorite animals. So when I'm out with my horses, the rest of the world just goes away. And, so there you have it. There you have it, folks, especially horse lovers.
And I've also, I came to working with horses full time and thought, I prefer animals to people. But what they've done for me is listen to me and said, actually, please don't be like that. And through them, I have met so many wonderful people, and often people that have become friends were people who weren't on the same wavelength when I met them. But through being with the horses, through a shift in consciousness, who by realizing who the horses are, learning to listen, realizing that if everyone was a healer, there'd be no need for healing.
Right.
That shifted. So I've started to realize that if I'm like a horse, I can start looking for that light in the person that shifts their consciousness. And that's been a big eye-opener for me as well, to do that.
Well, and I think that's why there's some people in this world like you and I, sometimes, that humanity really does need a lot of help. And, that's why, the horse, the animals are here to help us evolve and learn and grow up more about ourselves. So, and it looks like you got to get going pretty soon. So,
yeah, I do. So it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you.
You too.
And I love the book that you sent me. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. The book you sent me, I loved reading it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, what are you working on now?
Yes. Oh, well, I've just put together a synopsis for another book, and I've sent it off to an agent. So I hope that I can soon reveal what it is, and that it'll be out.
Great, great. Well,
yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, what I'll do is we'll have a author's bulletin page in the beginning of this video. So everybody that's been listening, and if you would like to know more about Margrit's books and how to reach her, that will be on the very beginning of the video. So Margrit will send me some book covers and maybe a couple links on how to reach her. And so you will be able to do that. You just go back and pause the video and look and see all the wonderful things that she has and what's coming up. So I want to thank you so much, Margrit, for being here. I know your schedule is really busy, which is good because you're out spreading the love and the message. And
I've got lots of foreign trips. Yeah. So I'll send you the information. Yeah. And I look forward to being back in the States. Yeah.
Yes. Well, when are you going to be back?
It'll be next year.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
So I'm organizing with some people now. Yeah.
You'll have to keep us posted. Yes. So, all right.
I will. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Well, do you have any?
Thank you so much, Denise.
Oh, thank you, Margrit. I'm so happy that you were able to join with us. And everybody, we're happy that you came and listened. And please take away this great, wonderful message and be brave and pass it on. And so everyone, we're going to sign off now. Thank you very much.